As real estate agents, we've been told to book as many appointments as possible, but booking the wrong appointments with unqualified prospects costs real estate agents more money than they even realize.
Every minute that you spend with someone who isn't going to buy or sell with you is a minute lost that you could have otherwise spent prospecting for more serious business, or honestly spending time on things that you love to do or with your family.
If you continue to spend time giving away free information to people who have zero intention of transacting with you, you'll find yourself burnt out and unmotivated to book the number of appointments you need to hit your goals.
In this video, we're going to show you how to do qualified prospects before your appointment so that you're only spending time on the people who are actually interested in transacting and value your opinion.
Today, you guys, we got an awesome topic for you. And the reason why we wanted to address this today is because I feel like we've been having this come up more and more, especially kind of
100%.
as we're heading into the spring market. Definitely more sales happening, definitely more showings happening. And we're kind of falling back into that same old rhythm, which is like I'm booking appointments with people who are unqualified. And I book an appointment on a Monday. They show up on the Saturday. I spend my morning having an hour meeting, and then I hang up and I'm like, why did I just have that meeting? So today we want to tell you guys or show you our formula and our format for how to book qualified appointments. I want to ask them one thing, Ryan. What is the biggest challenge that you guys are facing right now with booking appointments? Just drop me a comment. I want to know if you're feeling the same thing, if you're feeling something different, so that we can address that today.
I think a big thing here is, I think a big thing here also is I've been talking to a lot of agents that are also struggling with clients they're already working with and out on showings with that they're not able to move forward. And I think like what we're going to talk about today and what we're going to jump into is like not only booking appointments with the right people, but if you've already got that funnel and you notice there's a lot of people in your funnel that just aren't moving forward, this reverting back to this, it's going to be doing like some back work, but reverting back to this and having a conversation around what we're going to dig into today will help you either move them forward or realize like you shouldn't be spending your time on these people right now, right? Like I was having a conversation with an agent and they're like, my A funnel is freaking packed right now, but I can't get anybody to pull the trigger. And I'm like, if you're out on showings with people and you're doing showings and showings and showings and they're not pulling the trigger, you didn't probably do a good enough job of qualifying them up front. And like you're going to have to go back and have this conversation. And I walk them through this. So what we're going to talk about today is twofold. Really good for, as Emma said, qualifying to like understand, should I even be able to get it, or should I even be trying to get into an appointment with this person or these people? And then secondly, for people who are already in your funnel and not moving forward, you need to go back and have a conversation structured in this way, because you're probably out on showings right now with people that you shouldn't be, that are wasting your time that you could be using elsewhere with either clients that are qualified or going out and finding more qualified clients.
All right. So what's step one? What's the first step? By the way, this is a framework that we actually follow. So I think we boiled this down to something very simple for you guys. So what's the first step for them, Ryan? What's the first kind of check mark that they need to get accomplished in these conversations?
Yeah. So the first and the most important piece here is what's their actual motivation, right? So we need to be having conversations about why people actually want to move and what's going to make them move, right? So like what's not working for them in their current situation, right? Or, what do they need, want, and desire in a new situation? Or what are their pains, worries, and fears based around their current situation, which is going to give you their true motivation, right? And so for some people, motivation is really easy, right? For some people, motivation is like, hey, I'm getting transferred for work. I've got to move because of work. Or it's, hey, we just found out we're having twins and we're in a 1-bedroom condo. And motivation is really easy. For other people, and you know this, Emma, like motivation can be much more difficult to get out of them because a lot of times the motivation is actually subconscious, and people innately don't like thinking about things that make them feel uncomfortable or bad about their current situation. So they kind of like bury that motivation, and you have to get really, really good at question asking to get to that motivation. And like, Emma, you're great at this, about continuing to dig and asking another question and another question and another question. And I say this all the time to people, is like, the getting the true motivation you're not going to get with one question, right? But if you don't know the true motivation, you're never going to sell them something. And I think that's the biggest piece of why motivation is so important. Oh, and I want to add one last thing. People ask me all the time about objection handling, which we're just about to launch an amazing objection handling course within our phone pro course right now that will be available to all of you guys. But like, there's some objections that you like might not be able to handle, right? Like, there's not a one-liner that's going to overcome that objection. But an objection is just a demotivating factor. Okay. And if you can find motivating factors, so their motivation of why they would move, even if there's demotivating factors or roadblocks that are true objections that they might not be able to overcome, if you can create emotion around the motivating factors that is so strongly outweighs the emotion around demotivating factors, they will, with your help, of course, find ways to overcome those objections or demotivating factors. And most agents just want like, hey, teach me the objection handler to get over this. Sometimes there's objections you can't get over, but if you understand motivation on a deep enough level and you can make the emotions around it real, you'll still move someone forward. And that's why motivation is the most important and number one on our list.
Yeah, and I think what most agents kind of fail to see is, if the situation that they're going into is not significantly better than what they currently have, they're not going to move, right? And
Right.
so just by asking, how many bedrooms do you want? How many bathrooms do you want? It's like, oh, we're in a 2-bedroom now, and we'd like to have a 3. And you're like, oh, well, they want a 3-bedroom, so they're going to move. And it's like, no. Why do they want that 3-bedroom? It's like, because they just had a kid. Okay, that, and then and what agents wait for are like, I need this person's burning desire to just like come out of their mouth immediately, and for them to tell me everything. And is that like, that is not realistic. It's maybe realistic for 1 in 30 people that you talk to, because they're actually in a painful position. But honestly, most consumers are pretty smart. They understand you're a real estate agent. You're calling them. What is it that you want? You want to get them to move. And most people are in a situation where they're like, I'm uncomfortable, but I'm not that uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like I'd like the extra bedroom, but like, if you don't understand the root of why they're making the move, and you can't bridge the gap of the next thing that you're going to get is significantly better than the thing that you have now, they're not going to move at all. So that is the first thing that we want you guys to highlight. Motivation is, without question, it's like the baseline, it's the foundation, it is the threshold. What? What just happened? How did that? Is this?
You're loving what you said.
Did I do that? You guys?
Now it's not working. Now it's not working.
I can't do it. I've never had that happen before in my life. But motivation is the thing that is the jump off point ultimately for where the conversation is going to go, and to determine whether or not a move can actually be made, right? And then what's the second thing after motivation? What do they got to do?
The second thing is their ability to actually make a move, right? Like, you need to understand, do they have the ability? Like, have they saved money? Have they been pre-approved? Do they understand how much money they need to buy? So it's great if they're motivated, but if they're motivated and there's no ability, it's going to make it very difficult, right? That doesn't mean you can't overcome lack of ability. It may just mean you need to nurture and add value and help these people get the ability over time. It doesn't mean no ability, never talk to this person again. It's just how you're going to talk to them and what you're going to do for them is going to be very different, right? So you want to, first off, motivation is king. You need to focus on motivation and get that motivation. Secondly, we want to look at their ability. So do they have the capability in terms of financing to move? right? Do they have money in their saved in their RSPs or, some sort of savings account that they're able to move into that down payment? Do they already own a property and they're going to sell it? Like, what does that look like for them? Have they been pre-approved? And you need to understand that ability. And a lot of times what we'll find is a lot of people don't understand that they do have the ability. They assume they don't, right? Because a lot of people don't understand, especially like in certain places in the US, how easy, like how little money you actually need to move. Unfortunately in Toronto, we have taxes up the wazoo. So it's a bit more expensive and a bit more difficult. But it can be a lot easier in certain locations. So like making them understand how little and that they may actually have the ability when they didn't realize it. What's last? What's the third that we're looking for?
All right, we're going to get into the third. And then if you guys are with us, I want you to stay with us. Do not leave, because we're going to tell you how this kind of all ties together and how you are going to use it as a threshold to understand, is the person that you're speaking with worth booking an appointment right away, or should you put them on a follow-up strategy? Like, where does this conversation actually go? Okay.
Yeah.
The third thing is the question that agents dance around the most, is what I would say, right? It's like, I don't know why, but we can't convince ourselves to freaking say these words out of our mouth. It's their willingness to work with you. Are they
100%.
already committed to an agent? Are they willing to work with you? Are they working with somebody else? And honestly, most agents do a pretty good job. They don't necessarily do a great job of like motivation-based questions or whatever it happens to be, but they do a pretty good job of like, how many bedrooms do you need? How many bathrooms do you need? What's the location that you want to move into? Like, what's your kind of ideal budget? And then guess what they do? Okay, great. I'll either send you some listings, or like, we should meet at these properties on the weekend. And they completely just avoid the question of, is this person even working with somebody else? Have they had a conversation with somebody else? So the third piece of the threshold is their willingness to work with you. And I want you to understand one thing about willingness to work with you. It's not, are they going to choose you? It is, are they willing to consider you for the position if they are interviewing other agents? And if they haven't committed to somebody else and they're open to having a conversation with you, then you're going to check that off. All right. So to recap kind of where we're at, we have motivation. Like, why are they looking to move? What is the true motivation? Not just like, how many bedrooms do you want? Like, why do you need that extra bedroom? Right? Is it the school district? You want your kids to be in a better school district? Did you just have another kid? Are you downsizing? Like, what is the true motivation? So M, okay? The second thing is the ability. So do they have the ability now, or are they going to be able to gain the ability in the future? So A. And then the last thing is W, which is their willingness to consider you for the position. So MAW. So here is the formula or the framework that we follow to get a better understanding of, should I book an appointment? Should I book an appointment with Ryan? Today is Wednesday. I have a conversation. I'm talking to him. Is he worth the appointment on Saturday? If Ryan only has one of the three of those components, and we call it MAW, by the way, okay? MAW. If Ryan has one component of the three of MAW, typically I'm going to put him on a follow-up, okay? If he has two of the three components of MAW, I'm going to attempt an appointment. I think it's worth my time because there's only one component that's missing, and I need to kind of further discover that, okay? And then the third is, if Ryan's got all three of the elements of MAW, I'm not getting off that conversation until I do everything I can to try and get that appointment. So that is how we gauge. It's a very simple formula, but that will, it's kind of like a decision tree, right? And so as we're going through making calls, we're like, does this person have motivation? Yes. Does this person have the ability? Yes. Are they willing to consider me for the position? Yes. Okay, I'm definitely booking an appointment. Ryan has no motivation. He was just searching for properties online. He has no money, but he definitely wants to talk to me because he wants information. So he's willing to talk to me, but he has no ability and he has no motivation. Probably not going to book an appointment, okay? Because it's probably just going to be me giving him a bunch of information and we're not really going to be going anywhere, okay? So that is how we like to decipher. Now, if you guys are watching on Facebook or on Instagram and you guys want like a cheat sheet of our formula, just comment MAW, like MAW here, and we'll automatically just send you guys the cheat sheet so that you can like print it out or have it on your desktop. That way when you're making calls or having a conversation with someone, you can just kind of like follow that. We know it, like the back of our hands now. But if you don't, if you are unfamiliar with it and you want kind of a cheat sheet on your computer, just drop that there. We're happy to send it to you.
Yeah, guys. And the great thing about this is not only does it tell you who you should book an appointment with, it also gives you insight on how you can nurture and add value to people who maybe don't have all three, right? So like if they're missing ability, right? It's like, how can I help this person get ability? How can I add value? Like, am I introducing them to a financial planner that's going to like set up different ways for them to save more money quickly? Am I going to give them information on like first time buyer incentives that may exist in my marketplace? And how are you going to help them along to get them that ability? Right. So that's the great thing about it here is it'll also give you clues on like, hey, what kind of emails? Okay. So they had motivation. They sort of had ability, but they didn't really have willingness right now. What kind of email should I be sending them on a nurture that they'll see value in that might change that, right? And that's the beautiful thing about this scorecard. It also kind of gives you clues on how to nurture and follow up with these people. Okay, so we're giving you guys that. Comment Ma if you want our scorecard to use. And one last thing before we check off, I want to remind you guys, I said this at the start. If you have people that you're out on showings with, you already had the appointment, you didn't know this, you're already out seeing properties with them. Obviously, they have the willingness, but if they're not pulling trigger, deep down, either the motivation isn't big enough or the ability is not really there. And you need to go back and have another conversation with these people and use the MA scorecard again. You've got willingness. They're out on showings with you, but maybe they're out on showings with other agents. We don't know. So you need to go back and have this conversation with them again and use the MA scorecard to make sure they're people that you should be out on showings with, because showings take a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of preparation. And if you think you've got this full funnel with people who are out on showings and ready to buy, but they actually don't score 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 3, you're not going to get them to transact. And what's the point of our job is to help people transact and to help them find the right property at the right time. But your job isn't to go open doors for people and be a showing specialist for people who have no interest in actually buying real estate.
I call it the tour guide. Are we
Yeah.
real estate agents or are we tour guides? And if you want to be a real estate agent, which ultimately we're technically salespeople, but the best real estate agents are advisors. They're the people that are willing to ask the difficult questions so that they can give the right advice to making sure, like I said at the beginning, that the situation that your clients are going into is a better situation for their personal situation than the one that they're in right now. And if you can't uncover that, or you can't make the proper advice to be able to accomplish that for them, then you probably haven't done enough discovery. And by the way, if you're feeling like you're watching this right now and you're like, you know what, I need to practice that, you and frickin' everybody else, including Ryan and I, this is a skill set that you sharpen your skill the more that you do it, and you can get rusty really, really quickly. So if you're watching and you're like, I just don't feel like I'm that good at it, like, who cares? It doesn't matter. Just practice this as you go through the next conversations. Keep this top of mind. It's not just about bedrooms, bathrooms, location, price point, guys. Like, every freaking agent's going to ask about that. What it is why do you want to make a move? Why is that important to you, right? How do I get you in a better situation than you're in right now? Do you even have the money or capability to be able to make this move? Because that's probably going to be a barrier if the answer to that is no. And are you even willing to consider me for the position? If the answer to those 3 things are yes, it's totally worth booking the appointment. And if the answer is definitely no to all of those things, but they know how many bedrooms they want and bathrooms, that's a dream, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to come to fruition in reality, right? So this thing works. Oh, I promise you, it works. If you guys follow it, you'll crush it. I'm actually surprised that we decided to give it away for free. But we're happy that you guys are here. Go download it. The thing works really well, and we'll be back here with you guys next week. And I would love to hear from those of you guys that implemented this week your results.
All right, guys.
Cool.
Last chance, comment Ma if you want our free scorecard that's going to teach you step by step what you need to get information wise on a call or in person to see if you should be booking an appointment with someone. Hopefully this was helpful. We will see you guys again next week.